an Idaho man, David Rush, was visiting an Illinois library, and I guess instead of checking out their wide selection of good books, he decided to set a Guinness World Record.
Okay, so did he like stack books? Did he like do something crazy, like make a book domino thing or something? What did he do?
You would think it would be something book related or Illinois related, but no, he successfully ate 241 corn kernels with a toothpick in 3 minutes. So this Guinness challenge is how many individual kernels of corn can you skewer and eat in 3 minutes? Why corn? Why 3 minutes? Guinness only knows. But that's the challenge, and this man is the fastest in the world. Your reaction?
My reaction to this?
Yes.
What are you doing, Guinness?
For real. What are we doing here, Guinness? What's going on? Why?
Are there no other records being broken that you could go and cover? Like, everyone's just worried about... I mean, this is weird. Was this on the books before? Or is this the guy that said, I'm going to do this thing? And they're like, oh, that's not in there.
He broke the previous record of 236 kernels in 3 minutes. Okay, but this guy, he's not a one-trick pony. He doesn't just focus on one feat of... I don't even know what you'd call this.
Obsessive compulsive eating?
Tactile exceptionalism? I don't know.
I don't know either.
But he's broken other Guinness World Records. In fact, last year...
Really?
Yes.
He's a multiple Guinness World Record holder.
Yes.
Okay. What else has he skewered with a toothpick and eaten really fast?
Last year, he set a record at, funnily enough, another public library for balancing a pool cue on his forehead for 1 hour and 3 minutes and 14 seconds. So... he's got the hidden talent thing on lock. Like, anytime you need an icebreaker, you call up David Rush.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Something people may not know about you. It's like, oh, well, I have a very flat forehead.
And to his credit, he did say it's a ridiculous talent to have. I practice skewering a lot to prepare, along with the size of the plate, spreading out the corn, the best toothpicks to use. There's a lot of thought that goes into breaking a Guinness. You don't just show up with a can of corns and a toothpick, David. Okay? There's some legitimate preparation that goes into this. But 1 Guinness World Record, that's phenomenal. What an achievement. 2, wow, that's rarefied air. He's broken 83 Guinness World Records.
Okay, dude, just stop.
David Rush cannot be stopped.
When he said that he had like specific toothpicks, like he picked out, I imagine like halfway through, like his toothpick breaks, and then the toothpick boy comes out. He hands it to him and says, "Pick me a winner, Bobby."
You think he whittles his own toothpicks?
Oh,
he doesn't trust these store-bought toothpicks. So yeah, he's broken 83 Guinness World Records. 40 of which remain unbroken. So 43 of them were probably pretty easy, right? If they've already been broken. Anyways, he's doing this. He says his attempts are aimed at promoting STEM education.
huh?
And the only thing I can see as to how this promotes STEM education is the fact that he's wearing an MIT pullover. If you look at the video on YouTube of him eating the corn, he's wearing a pullover. I don't know if he went to MIT or if he's just a fan of it and a fan of the sciences. And maybe he's eating the corn in the science section
Of the library?
of the library.
And that's how you're going to try to bring this whole thing full circle?
I think that's what's going on. So, congratulations, David Rush. You are exceptional in at least 40 ways. And we can't wait until you break your next Guinness World Record next week.
This is Subjectively Correct Sports, the only podcast in the known universe featuring a couple of guys, David Henderson and Anthony Montague, talking about sports and guys who eat corn real fast with toothpicks.
On topic because it's Thanksgiving week.
Is that the only reason you chose this story?
I got food on the mind, David.
All right. I'm sure there's a better food story out there. Like, did you hear what Al Roker called his food?
No.
Might want to edit this out.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to say it.
Got it.
But he's caught some flack for naming his one of his Thanksgiving dishes as something that you probably shouldn't say around the dinner table.
Okay.
You can look it
I'm
up.
super nervous right now.
In fact, don't look it up. In fact, we're going to start over.
Okay.
We are actually going to start over. Let's just start over. I'm not going to mention that.
Okay.
Again, not how that works. I really do want to start over.
Okay.
Can we please start over?
And okay, David. So this guy in Idaho, he eats a bunch of corn.
No. I'm going to start. Okay. Go back to after the story, and I'll start the intro again. Yeah.
Isn't that a great story, David? On to you for the open.
Just click the computer. Go back. Just want me to go?
Just say it into the microphone. That's how we talk.
I understand that, but I want to start over.
And go.
No. So, are we asking Adam to cut out?
This is Subjectively Correct Sports. That's your cue.
I'm super confused. Are we just going to power through this because I really don't want that stuff on the podcast?
Yeah.
Yes, what? We're just going to power through that?
Woo! Let's go. It's Thanksgiving.
You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, and oddly still on YouTube. Subscribe, give us a 5-star review. Shout out to the fan who sent us an email. I got something for you a little bit later, though. Colt. So, thanks for that. We're really not going to erase that stuff?
I mean...
I didn't want to talk about the Al Roker stuff, but it came out. I regretted it, and then I wanted to go back.
I don't even know what it is. Is it bad?
Well, he calls it something that is kind of vulgar. So, yeah.
Well, that's on him.
That's true.
Yeah.
I just don't want to point our podcast listeners to something that goes, oh, I'm offended now.
Podcast listeners, do not look up anything David says.
Yeah, don't look up Al Roker and food.
Well, okay.
I know it's Thanksgiving, and all of you are going to be doing that.
Because when I think of Thanksgiving, the two things I think of are food and Al Roker.
I think of Native Americans.
Oh, yeah. And pilgrims.
Yeah.
Coming over on the Mayflower.
Sure. So you remember before we started how we talked about this was going to be a short one because it's a holiday week?
Yeah.
It's been 7.5 minutes and we haven't talked sports at all.
Oh, I think you're forgetting David Rush, the phenomenal athlete who's able to stick 243 pieces of corn in his mouth. 241. Next week it's going to be 243.
I was about to say I don't consider him an athlete, but then I thought of Joey Chestnut, and I was like, you know what? Why is Joey Chestnut an athlete and this guy's not?
It's true.
Basically the same thing.
So for this shortened podcast, we're going to omit David's hot take minute.
Sorry, fan.
We're going to modify the Fantastic Five.
Excited for that.
And we're only going to have a couple topics, but we promise to make them as mediocre as ever.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No surprises here. It's going to be just as mediocre as the previous pods.
Mediocre as cranberry sauce at Thanksgiving. That's right. I went there.
I've never really loved cranberry sauce.
That's my hot take.
So do you want
Maybe
me to
it's everyone's hot. Okay, please write us if you like cranberry sauce.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Also, why is it sauce? It's usually like gelatinous.
Because cranberry jelly sounds awful.
Yeah.
Cranberry sauce sounds passable. Like that'd be like cranberry ice cream. Kind of has the same vibe as cranberry jelly. The funny thing is,
I like cranberries, but when you gelatinize it, it just doesn't do it for me.
Gelatinate.
Oh.
Gelatinate.
Gelatinic.
Okay. Was he a second baseman for the Phillies or something? My producer just told me to move on. All right. So, NFL Week 12, the thing that I wanted to talk about most was Rams-Chiefs. That game was...
It's still going on.
I wish
they're still scoring points.
Yeah, I wish that game, it felt like a Madden game with two people that were just like calling all out blitzes every play. It was just like touchdown and touchdown and touchdown.
Right.
Oh, man.
It was two 12-year-olds playing Madden.
That's what it was. That don't know anything about defense. And just they're like those 2 or 3 plays that always work.
Right.
And the game was crazy. So it's the first game in NFL history where both teams scored over 50 points.
Wow.
And it's the third most points scored in a game. And guess what? That game was almost played in Mexico. We almost gave that game to Mexico City. But we were like, nah, we're going to take back our sport and do it in LA instead. Though?
That field would have played more defense than the entire game that was played in LA.
It still did.
That's right. Yeah, 0 points scored on that field still.
Yeah, that's the best field in sports. But the field did look pretty bad, and I'm glad they made the decision to switch it because it was probably unsafe.
Yeah.
But, oh, what a game we had.
Also, our Mexican neighbors to the south, they would not have known what to do with that much scoring. They're a country that adores soccer, where 3-1 is like...
Blowout.
It's a blowout, right? 54-51. My goodness.
It kind of felt like it's one of those things where you're scrolling through like the ESPN app or something, and you're like, oh, is that a college basketball score, you know?
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, no, that's football. Wow. Because you do that with college football sometimes. Where like Louisville will put up 68, and like the other team will put up 45 or something. You're like, oh, basketball game? But then you realize, no, that's football. So it's the same kind of feeling, but just with the NFL, which never happens.
So you see a football game, 54-51, you think, wow, Breeze and Rodgers really had it going this week. But no. The two quarterbacks in question, or for the Rams, Jared Goff, and for the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, right? Two, 22 and 23, a 22 and a 23-year-old, something like that?
I feel old and unsuccessful when I think about how old they are. That's how young they are.
Yeah, you remember last year when we were talking about how big of a bust is Jared Goff?
What changed?
Sean McVay.
Sean McVay changed.
Yeah, I mean, so he had him last year, and last year he was good. But his rookie year, I don't even know if he really played that much. It was the last year of, what's-his-face? They used to coach the Titans. Jeff Fisher.
We need to
quarterback killer.
We need to nullify all Jared Goff's stats while he was playing for Jeff Fisher. It would be amazing what happened. But anyway, Sean McVay is right along that vein of those quarterbacks. Those coaches that we talked about weeks ago or even months ago on the podcast, where we were talking about how much of an impact coaching makes, and he was one of those that we were talking about. And just look at the career of Jared Goff as a perfect example of an effect a coach and an offensive line can have on a team's and on a quarterback's performance.
Yeah, and he's also got weapons, man. He's got Gurley. You have to respect the run, right? You've got Brandon Cooks. You got, I don't know, Cooper Kupp, who's unfortunately out for the year. But they have weapons on that team. And the greatest job in NFL sports has to be Sean McVay's offensive coordinator. Right? I mean, Sean McVay is running the offense, right? I think he's calling the plays.
Yeah,
I don't really know what the offensive coordinator is doing. He's probably like, great job, coach. Good job. Nice call, coach.
Just as a yes man.
Yeah,
like exactly. He's there to collect his check and be like, I agree, Sean.
He's his hype man. Yeah.
His hype man.
Yeah.
Don't play call. Hit him again. What?
So
that's my hype man.
Yeah. So the Rams are now 10-1. Having a phenomenal season. Their only loss is to the other juggernaut in the NFC, the New Orleans Saints, and that was at a home. That was on the road to the Saints. So the Saints are just awesome at home. They're awesome wherever they go, but they're almost unbeatable at home.
So I did mention that I was worried about the Saints and if they would travel well, because that's happened to Saint teams in the past. That week where I mentioned that on the podcast, they blew out whoever they played. So it's like, I was like, okay, never mind. They're just great everywhere. And what Drew Brees is doing at the age 39, super impressed with him at his age, at his size.
Yeah, if the season ended today, he would have the highest QBR quarterback rating of all time.
For a single season.
The highest single season QBR of all time. So he's having an okay season.
He's doing all right.
Yeah. In fact, so let's just look at the standings real quick. David, have you looked at the NFL standings recently?
No, not really. I just know that some teams are crushing it, and everyone else is kind of the...
Well, that's good. I think the AFC is somewhat predictable. You've got Kansas City and Pittsburgh at the top. If the season ended today, they'd get the 2 byes. And then New England right behind Pittsburgh. They're at 7-3. Houston's winning their division, 7-3. And then the Chargers also 7-3, and then you've got like a 6-way tie for that 6th seed. So it'll all resolve itself in a few weeks. I think some of these other teams will start to separate. The NFC, though, is interesting to me because you've got the Rams, like we talked about, at 10-1. You've got the Saints at 9-1. David, who's the 3 seed? Who do you think is the 3 seed in the NFC?
Saints. Who was the other one?
Rams, Saints are 1 and 2.
Rams, Saints, Panthers. No, not the Panthers. No, not the Panthers.
They would be the 5 seed at 6-4.
That's close.
Yep.
5 is really close to 3.
Yep.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Chicago Bears.
Get out! They're winning their division.
The Chicago Bears at 7-3. That's right. And they're 2 games, game and a half ahead of the Vikings at 5-4, who would be the 6th seed, and the Redskins are sitting in the 4th seed at 6-4.
And they've suffered a pretty tough break.
Oh, yeah.
Too soon?
Wow. Too soon. Maybe 33 years too late.
What do you mean?
Oh, so okay. What we're talking about? Alex Smith broke his tibia and fibula, or maybe it's fibia and tibula. I don't really know.
Well, I'll ask Colt about that in a second, but after I yell at him.
I don't do physiology or anatomy or whatever aspect or whatever branch of science your body is.
I've never believed in physiology. I don't believe in studying the stars and predicting the future. I think that's bogus.
You don't believe it exists?
Yeah, physiology is bogus. It's
Yeah,
just you
that's
look at
right.
the stars and it tells you your future, how you should behave this month. It's bogus.
But if you do have cancer, you should get it treated. Anyway, so the Redskins, the quarterback Alex Smith broke his leg. J.J. Watt snapped it in half. Sorry for that visual. And
was it J.J. Watt?
I don't know. I saw a tweet that it was.
Oh, well, it has to be. The guy's supposed to be all about charity and giving back. It seems like a pretty jerk move to break someone's leg. Yeah.
Pretty rude.
Yeah, J.J. Watt's the wolf in sheep's clothing.
It was you if you've paid attention, if you've been on ESPN, if you've been on NFL Twitter, you've seen this a million times by now. But it was 33 years to the day that Joe Theismann also broke his right tibia and fibula.
And wasn't it Lawrence Taylor who took out his leg?
Maybe.
So Lawrence Taylor takes out his leg.
The iconic defensive player of the era.
Yeah. That's just weird. In 33 years, if your child has an offer to play quarterback for the Viking, for the Washingtons, yeah, just say no. Just say no. He likes his legs.
He's good.
Yeah, he's gonna hold out to play for the Buccaneers or something because they always have a need for a quarterback.
Unless it's for the backup, because then you're gonna get a shot.
Exactly. But what if the starter gets hurt and you end up playing on that day?
Yeah.
33 years from the day that these breaks happen.
Yeah, it could be a tough break. So
I already did that before.
Did you?
Yeah, I did the break joke before.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It started this whole conversation, which has been amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
It's going to win a Marconi.
Okay.
Or the podcast equivalent of a Marconi.
So, the Redskins have been having a really good season, 7-3, but Colt McCoy now coming in to lead this team to the playoffs? I don't know, question mark. The thing they do have going for them is that they're in the same division as the Giants, Cowboys, and the Eagles. The Eagles.
Yeah, they are. I don't even pay attention to them this year because they're such a non-factor in the league. They're
the worst Super Bowl hangover team of all time. I don't know if the stats actually bear that out.
Did you see their Super Bowl parade? They might actually still be hungover from that parade.
Yeah.
That parade was insane. So I wouldn't be surprised they're still hungover. But it's such a crazy change, and I haven't looked into it enough to know for sure what has caused them to struggle so much this year. But they have not played well.
Yeah, they're 4-6, and they lost this last weekend to the Saints 48-7, which is the biggest loss by a Super Bowl champion defending team in NFL history. So no team that won the Super Bowl lost by more points in any game the next year.
So it looks like their championship window came and went.
Wow, tough break. What are we doing? I don't.
Go move on. What
else? What else can we say about football this year? Fantasy football is dumb. That's my that is my assessment of fantasy football. I've been a holdout for a long time, and finally joined a league. It's dumb. Here's why. I scored. My team scored, I think, like 100 points. Let's see. I'm opening up my app to see.
This would be a really good time for me to fill, but I won't.
I don't know. I scored like 100 points last week. 2 weeks ago, I scored 200 points. Demolished my opponent. This week, basically the same. Had the same roster. I think maybe one receiver change, and scored half as many points. And like, I don't know why people think this is so exciting or so fun. It's just frustrating for me because it's so unpredictable. Like, you have good players, and if they don't perform well, you lose. But, like, they could still have a good game. They just didn't get the right kind of stats. The stats that matter. They get you points in fantasy.
Now imagine you have a job where this kind of stuff actually matters, and you put together this team that's supposed to be great on paper, and they keep losing.
Yeah.
Now imagine that. Imagine if it wasn't fantasy football, if it was actual football, how frustrating that would be.
You want to know what the most frustrating thing is? To be a fantasy owner of Odell Beckham Jr. Because on any other team, he'd be scoring multiple touchdowns a game, 200 yards a game. Unfortunately, the person trying to deliver the ball to him is named Eli Manning. And so he's getting like half of the output that he should be getting. So fantasy, it's dumb. I don't know if I'll do it again, ever. I don't know. We got to fix the system. I need to draft some legislation fixing fantasy football.
You're going to draft some legislation for fantasy football?
Oh, that's where I went wrong in the first place.
Yeah. Can I yell at Colt now?
Sure.
Dude, your arguments were dumb. So, Colt, shout out to Colt Sawyer for emailing the show. Thank you, man. We appreciate it.
Long-time listeners will remember Colt from our, third episode?
It was hitting the way back machine.
He told us all about deer antler spray. Or maybe that was a tangent we went on.
It was yak umbilical cord or something?
That's right. He told us about like the combine experience, how doctors are there, and why some athletes don't work out.
Okay, yeah. Stop talking him up. Okay, listen up, Colt. So he says he disagrees with my Aaron Rodgers take. And in order to back that up, he used like a stat that shows that Aaron Rodgers has the highest rating ever. And I was like, okay, so how is that not proving my point? And then he said that Colin Kaepernick is ranked 17th on that same list. And I was like, okay, I didn't make the stat, but Aaron Rodgers is atop in that. And then he talked about how like he's just become like a whiny superstar kind of a thing. Like, okay, fine. And he said that he thought Tom Brady was better. And so I sent Colt a message that said, this is a pretty famous story by this point, but Tom Brady actually said to a coach, if Aaron Rodgers was on this team, meaning the Patriots, he would, quote, throw for 7,000 yards every year. He's so much more talented than me, end quote. So if you don't trust me...
Do you think that's Brady being humble?
No.
Like, what? It doesn't benefit him to say, I'm better than Aaron Rodgers, because everyone believes it already.
Well, the uninformed.
Okay.
Okay, look, this irritates me to no end. Team success does not determine individual talent of a player. And all I'm saying is Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Tom Brady. I'm not saying he's a better winner. I'm not saying he's a better champion. I'm not saying he's on a better team. I'm not saying he's more accomplished. Tom Brady is obviously more accomplished because he's been on a team that has been more successful. We need to stop equating team success with individual success.
Okay, can team success be part of an individual success?
I think so, but they shouldn't be all-inclusive, if that makes sense. A perfect example of this year was the Mets pitcher, DeGrom, who had one of the best seasons a pitcher has had in Major League Baseball history. And he wins the Cy Young and stuff, but his team was awful. They were an afterthought in the league this year. The most exciting thing about them this year was him pitching and Tim Tebow in the double A's every once in a while getting a hit. So Aaron Rodgers not winning a bunch of games and not winning a bunch of Super Bowls doesn't mean he's not a better quarterback than Tom Brady. It just means that Tom Brady's in a better system and situation. That's all that means. Aaron Rodgers is a more talented quarterback. And if you talk to players, coaches, other quarterbacks, defensive players in the NFL, it doesn't matter who you talk to, who knows the game, who have played the game at the highest level in the NFL, they will tell you that Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback. People might say, I'd rather have Tom Brady on my team because he's, quote, composed and a winner and stuff like that. He's more clutch or whatever. But everyone will tell you Aaron Rodgers is a more talented quarterback.
Okay, so if we are just going off like objective stats, right? Like QBR, okay? I think most people think QBR is an objective stat, right? Tom Brady has 4 of the top 20 seasons in QBR history. Aaron Rodgers has 2 of the top 20, and Tom Brady's highest is higher than... Tom Brady has the second highest ever, and that's counting Drew Brees' current season. So he has the highest ever completed season, and Aaron Rodgers has the 4th. Okay.
What about like overall? What about overall career QBR.
I don't think they do it that way. I think it just does a snapshot of a season, and I don't know if there's a way to like average it out.
This is just this season?
No, this is the highest seasons of all time.
Oh, okay.
All right, so it shows the top 50 seasons. Or sorry, the top 50 seasons. And so it's like Tom Brady's 2007 season. That's the year he had like Randy Moss, right?
Yeah.
And they went 19-1. He had an 87 even QBR, right? Aaron Rodgers' best season was 2011, where he had an 83.8.
And right. Who was his best receiver that year?
Oh, that was
Jordy Nelson.
2011. Who did he go to? That was the year they went to the Super Bowl, or no? That was post Super Bowl. Right?
But that's the thing. Like we knew right away.
Randall Cobb.
Yeah, exactly. We knew right away that Tom Brady had someone like Randy Moss or Gronkowski or something. But Aaron Rodgers is surrounded by mediocre, if not bad, players. He's throwing to a subpar receiving core, and he has coaches that do not call and design good plays. And yet he is still performing at a high level year after year. I'm much more impressed with Aaron Rodgers' talent than I am with Tom Brady's. Tom Brady is a great quarterback. He's one of the best of all time, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm just quoting experts when I say Aaron Rodgers is a more talented quarterback than Tom Brady, and Tom Brady said it himself.
But I think QBR is designed to account for that. It's designed to account for the individual quarterback's performance, regardless of the talent around them.
Okay. And so you're talking about snapshot seasons, but over his entire career, Aaron Rodgers is a better quarterback than Tom Brady.
You might find some people on Twitter who say this, right? You can find people on Twitter who say anything.
That's true.
But I don't even know if Tom Brady's the best. Like, if you're just going based on talent, like Dan Marino or John Elway was probably the most talented quarterback, right? I don't know. It's hard to compare eras also. But I think in a league where so much of your team's success is based on quarterback play, the fact that Rodgers, and again, understand he's not got an ideal situation, but it just I feel like he should be winning more. He just should be. Like, he should be able. You have the ball in your hand every play, right? You can audible. I don't know. Have you seen any stats on how good it is at audibling?
I don't think anybody does that because there's so many dummy audibles and teams keep that so close to the chest. But here's my thing. We just talked about Jared Goff. Now, a couple years ago, he was a bust, and we talked about how you change his offensive line a little bit, you change his coach, and all of a sudden he becomes like an MVP candidate. The same thing is happening to Aaron Rodgers, but just reversed. You have a little bit of talent around him, he wins a Super Bowl. You take away any talent, you give him a mediocre, if not bad, offensive line. You give him bad coaching on the offensive end of the ball, and the same thing happens. But the major difference between Jared Goff and Aaron Rodgers, of course, is talent, but also he's still performing at a high enough level to put up good stats, even with the bad situation.
Okay. Yeah, I mean...
my thing is, you can't say the thing with Jared Goff about how, okay, he just needed to have a better situation, and then not give that same argument for Aaron Rodgers, but just reversed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's other things about Goff, too. One, he's, 23, 24 years old, and so, like, he was obviously going to progress.
Yeah.
Like, he was going to progress regardless of who was his coach. I think it was accelerated because of the situation he was in, but he was going to progress anyways.
And we digress. Colt, you were wrong, and if you want to keep arguing about it, talk to Tom Brady, because Tom Brady agrees with me.
I think that's a humble brag by Brady. Magic Johnson said Kobe was the greatest Laker of all time. Magic Johnson said that. I mean, Magic was the greatest Laker of all time.
You're changing the argument. Tom Brady said that Aaron Rodgers is more talented, and people are still arguing against that. Come on, people. Come on, Colt.
All right, so this week's Fantastic Five is going to be a little modified. We're not going to do the Fantastic Five headlines of the week. Instead, this is Fantastic Five Thanksgiving edition. So we're going to rank, starting at number 5 to 1, the 5 best Thanksgiving food options. Okay? 5 best Thanksgiving food options. Let's, what do you want to do? Alternating 5, 4, 4?
I like that. Let's do that.
All right, I'll start. At number 5, turkey.
That seems a little high, but okay. For me, number 5, stuffing.
Oh, that's a good one. 4, gravy. All right, now some people may not have gravy as a separate food item, but I would eat gravy on its own, and that's the choice I made. I think turkey without the gravy, not so great. Turkey with gravy, 100%.
So
Mashed potatoes without gravy, ugh. Mashed potatoes with gravy, yes please.
So how come turkey with gravy isn't your number 5 or your number 1?
Well, I'm not doing combos. I'm just doing food on their own.
Okay, well,
And turkey on its own is okay.
So is that like saying is that then like saying that okay, one of your favorite desserts is eggs because you put eggs in cake?
No, because gravy is kind of a finished product in its own. You can combine it with other foods if you like, but you're not altering the nature of the gravy.
All right, you can stand for gravy all you want. I support you. I support you. My number 4, warm buttery dinner rolls. Nice and soft and fluffy with that buttery flavor. If there's not enough butter flavor to it, you know what you do?
Add
Put
more
some butter on there. There you go.
Number 3, pumpkin pie.
Hey, how about that? My number 3, pie.
Just pie in general.
Yeah, my wife makes amazing pies. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's not necessarily pumpkin pie, but she'll make all sorts of different pies for Thanksgiving. And I think tomorrow we're eating Thanksgiving dinner together. So I think we'll have like 2 or 3 of her pies tomorrow. So I'm excited for that.
Fantastic. Number 2, Cool Whip. Okay.
You can't. No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
And that's not even like a Thanksgiving food. Cool Whip on something Thanksgiving? Yes, that's a Thanksgiving thing.
I rarely eat Cool Whip except at Thanksgiving, and it's usually on my pie, but not always. I will sometimes do a spoonful of Cool Whip, and it is delicious.
That sounds like a you problem.
This is not a problem.
Like no, what I mean.
This is success.
What I mean.
This is what success looks like.
Success looks like a spoonful of Cool Whip. And gravy.
Yes. Give me a big ladle of gravy in one hand and a spoonful of Cool Whip in the other, and I am a happy camper.
We're going to put that on the Subjectively Correct Twitter feed tomorrow, right?
That's great. Let's do it.
All right, I'm down. All right, my number 2, candied yams. With brown sugar and marshmallow. So good. In fact, my wife, she's so great. She knows that how much I like the extra brown sugar and marshmallow, so there'll be like a little corner of the dish that has like, it's like a little fluffier because it's got like a little bit more marshmallow on it, like more brown sugar underneath it. Oh, you're the best, sweetheart. Thank you. It's a wonder I don't put on more weight in our marriage because you're such a great cook.
I've been told that David talks about his wife a lot and talks about her affectionately on the podcast, and I perhaps am not doing that as much. So I would just like to throw it out there. I have a very happy marriage. Love my wife. You're the best. Can't wait to see you after I record this so that my life can be complete again.
You know what's funny is my wife doesn't really even listen. She pretends to.
Really?
But she's like, oh, I'm like a few episodes behind. It's like, oh, what was the last one you listened to? It's like, oh, it was when you guys were talking about like the trades in the middle of the baseball season. Yeah. So
wait,
yeah.
So she is living in a world where she doesn't even know about the Swedish jewel heist yet?
She does know about Moose Poop Mary, though.
Oh, okay.
I wonder how she's doing.
Yeah, I'm sure her crap is just flying off the shelves.
Because it's all made of poop, I get it.
Number 1, my top Thanksgiving food, green bean casserole.
Really? I mean, it's your list.
Really?
So you can put whatever you want on your list, but your list is wrong.
No, my list is so right. If all I had on my plate was green bean casserole, I'd be happy. If I had green bean casserole and some Cool Whip, wow, that's an awesome Thanksgiving. You add some pumpkin pie, some gravy, and turkey to that, that is a complete meal. Every day of the week, I would have that. Green bean casserole, it's nutritious. It's a vegetable, but it also has yummy stuff in it. The crunchier, the better.
That's like saying a corn dog is a vegetable because you dip it in vegetable oil to fry it.
Love my veggies.
Cool. Okay, my number 1. My number 1 is the turkey sandwich you eat for lunch on Friday.
I considered this. I thought it was against the rules, but I did consider that.
But
I agree.
Thought Cool Whip was okay?
Because I eat it on the day, and I eat it as a standalone meal if I have to. And I would be happy to. But the after Thanksgiving sandwich, technically not a Thanksgiving day. I mean, you could have it later that night, and if that's the case, then sure, I agree.
Here's my argument. In favor of having the turkey sandwich you eat Friday on this list. Without the turkey on Thanksgiving, you have no post-Thanksgiving turkey sandwich on Friday. So they're all connected.
It's always yesterday somewhere in the world.
Right? Also, can we just stop with the light Cool Whip? We don't need that.
No, yeah, heavy cream all the way.
Right?
Yeah.
In fact, the thicker, the sugarier, the creamier, the better. So get that light stuff out of my life. I don't want the light Cool Whip anywhere near my house. In fact, when I see it on the store, I consider taking them all and like putting them somewhere where they'll go bad, just to rid the world of the light Cool Whip.
Yeah.
Also, light ranch, same principle.
Yeah.
Get that out of my life.
Light in general is bad. If it's lighter, that means there's probably fewer calories, which is a bad thing.
Yes, the good stuff costs
That means
calories.
the flavor goes away.
Yes, that's why is it so obvious to everybody except for the people trying to sell us stuff that we eat.
So, to recap, the best Thanksgiving food is green bean casserole, followed closely by Cool Whip.
I am speechless right now.
And those are your fantastic 5 Thanksgiving foods of the week. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Show's not over, but I just felt like I needed to say it right here since we're on topic.
Yeah, that was a little misleading.
There's a lot to be thankful for in the world, depending on where you live. So our listeners in, I don't know, some war-torn country, I hope
you don't have to hedge
your lives
everything.
get better.
You don't have to hedge everything.
If you live in the United States,
Building a wall
things
of
are pretty
protection
good.
around himself, so nothing comes back to
Anyways,
back to bite him.
We're all alive. We're all listening. We have a lot to be thankful for.
Can we end this segment now, please?
Dun 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 dun.
It took Jimmy Butler all of like a game and a half to make that trade seem like it was a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it ever seemed like a bad idea, but
Well, what I meant is for the trade to pay off,
yeah,
right? So he game's tied. They're down on defensive end. He gets a block. It's going out of bounds. He throws it over his head to his guys and saves it. And then on the other end, he hits the dagger three-pointer to win the game for the Phillies. It was pretty amazing. So Butler
76ers.
to 76ers, what did I say?
the Phillies.
Well, they're all from the same town.
It's true.
Now I just want to talk about Gritty. Wonder what he's doing for Thanksgiving. Did you invite him?
No, he's probably terrorizing several neighborhoods in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah. That Gritty.
Going home to home,
Yeah, that's right.
eating turkey like locusts.
Apparently him and the Philadelphia Fanatic are friends now. I mean, I thought that was kind of obvious. But I think what needs to happen is Gritty needs to turn on the Philadelphia Fanatic. And, like, during a game next season, Gritty needs to come out and, like, whack him with a hockey stick, drag him off the field, and take his spot. And become the mascot for both the Phillies and the Flyers. You with me? I sense you're with me.
Yeah, I'm so with you.
Were you listening? Okay, why don't you tell the people what you were doing instead of listening to me?
I was reading
Yes, I meant read that. What were you reading about?
what we're going to talk about next.
Yes, so talk about it now.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about what we're going to talk about next. And I'll begin now. So other stuff happening in the NBA. Kevin Durant was fined $25,000 because the Warriors just like to give away money. That's what they do these days.
I mean, they have enough.
They give away wins and they give away money.
That's right. They don't need them.
So during a recent loss to the Mavs,
Yeah, that's...
the surprisingly good did I say Rams?
You did.
Mavs.
So, Steph is still out. Steph is hurt.
Yeah.
And so I think we're seeing how important Steph is to the success of this team. When he's out,
Muy
they lose.
importante.
For you Portuguese listeners, that means very important.
Muito. Yeah. Yeah, Steph Curry out. The Warriors are in free fall.
Fall. Ah,
Oh yeah, it's
That's a good
November.
yeah, that's a good one.
So there was a fan heckling Kevin Durant, and let me
Wait, a fan was heckling at a sporting event?
I know. Let me paraphrase Kevin Durant. Please, kind sir, won't you sit down and respectfully watch the game and not talk anymore? Thank you, kind gentleman.
Do yourself a favor and look up the actual quote.
And there's lots of bleeps in there. Essentially, watch the bleep game and be quiet, but in a much more vulgar way. And so he was fined by the league.
And it's not like he yelled it while he was at center court. He like walked up to the baseline where this fan was sitting.
Yeah.
Was like pointing at the guy and yelling at him.
Yeah. So I think it's an appropriate response. I think
it is an
I think
appropriate
it
or
is.
an
I
inappropriate
think it is
response?
the right response by the NBA to fine Kevin Durant.
I thought you were saying Kevin Durant's response was appropriate, and I was like, oh, okay.
No. My take is that I mean, whether or not it was appropriate, if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm not saying I don't do the same thing. I probably don't use the same language, but if I'm an athlete and I'm having a bad night or my team's having a bad night, I could see once in a while yelling back at a fan, right? I probably would choose my words more carefully, but I think the NBA's response is appropriate. It's right to fine Kevin Durant. You want to be. This is the same league that had the Malice in the Palace, right? And I think that's going to influence their decisions with respect to player-fan interaction for the rest of its history, at least the rest of its foreseeable history. You can't allow players to even get close to something like that again, where players are fighting fans.
But isn't the league siding with the fan in this case, basically? I mean, the fan can still go to games. The fan isn't punished at all for this interaction, but Kevin Durant loses $25,000, and he gets punished by the league. And isn't this just giving other fans basically a signal saying, no, it's okay to say whatever you want to these players? But when it comes right down to it, the fan is in the wrong. The fan, I mean, these players hear verbal abuse all the time. All the time they get it. And while some people say Kevin Durant's a little softer than most, be it with his burner Twitter accounts and stuff like that, he hears it all the time and he doesn't respond. So the stuff that this guy was saying must have really gotten under Kevin Durant's skin, and it must have been repetitive. It must have been over and over again digging at Kevin Durant to get this reaction out of him.
Well, and KD's kind of notoriously thin-skinned, at least with like reporter criticism and things like that. He tends to snap back at reporters.
Right, but at the same time, he hasn't had an incident like this at a game.
Yeah.
But we're just going to give this fan a pass and say, no, it's okay to say whatever you want to these players, even if it's vulgar and even if it's bad and even if it's unfair.
Well, I guess what is the league or the Mavs, what are they to do? Like, do you set a precedent that if you speak negatively about one of the opposing players or any player, that you're not allowed to attend the game? Like, that would mean on any given night, 80% of the fans do not get to go back to the stadium.
True.
Is there certain words you just can't say, or certain actions you can't take, or hand gestures you can't make?
Well, and I understand that this is a slippery slope,
Yeah.
and it's almost impossible to police this sort of thing. It really is, because you have thousands of people there. There's a ton of noise. You cannot possibly have the manpower to babysit all of those people that are within yelling distance of these players. But at the same time, we should hold fans responsible for their behaviors the same we hold these players. These fans are grown adults too. They should act like grown adults. And yes, you can heckle opposing players. I mean, heaven knows, I gave Robin Lopez a hard time when he was playing in Salt Lake one time.
Whoa.
He deserved it. He deserved it. He flopped real bad. My wife is still embarrassed by this.
His body or his hair? Get it? Because he's got really floppy hair?
Yeah, I got it. It just wasn't funny.
Well...
But yeah, he flopped, and I yelled at him that he was going to get a fine notice from the league the next day or something like that. And then the guy next to me, we double-teamed it. We tag-teamed it. He yelled, "They'd rather have your brother." So we high-fived, and my wife and I think his girlfriend were embarrassed, but we became fast friends.
Yeah.
Ask me his name.
What's his name?
I don't know. We weren't that fast friends.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is there should be a line drawn. And I'm not saying that the NBA and individual teams and arenas need to start policing this, but I think fans should be able to police themselves. These people going to these games are grown adults that should behave like grown adults. And yes, heckle the other players. That's fine. Distract them. Throw rubber chickens up behind the backboard where they're shooting free throws. All that stuff. That's great. But don't shout obscenities at players over and over again and call them vulgar names throughout the course of the game. You know what I mean? Like, be an adult watching a game.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think that the arenas and the league trying to take any action against the fans is just a mistake because it's impossible to really police it. I think to the extent a fan makes contact or throws something onto the field of play or something like that, then yes, they should depending on the offense, potentially be barred from the stadium forever. I think this happened in New England recently, where a player was someone threw alcohol on a player, and that fan was kicked out of Gillette Stadium and wasn't welcome back. I think forever. So things like that, sure, they should police. And I think if you're a fan, I've had this happen more than once where someone sitting around me was so vulgar to the point where I actually looked at them and asked them to stop. It did not turn out very well. It did not lead to them to stop what they were doing, and in fact it led to more confrontation and contention. But I don't know what you can do. I think I agree. Everyone should be an adult, enjoy the game, but at the end of the day, remember that this is just a game. It's sports. This is entertainment, and we get emotional about it. We're fans, but your worst character should not be coming out because your team is down.
Yeah,
right?
And just because you bought a ticket doesn't give you the right to say anything you want and do anything you want. Yeah. I mean, I remember one story you told. You were with my sister, your wife, and were any of your kids at the game where you had Lakers gear on and you had a Lakers game in an opposing arena?
No, we didn't have kids yet. Yeah.
Okay, but was that the situation you're talking about, or was it a different time? Yeah, and
no, a few different times, but yeah, that one definitely. Yeah, there were some fans. We were representing the visiting team, and some fans of the home team started yelling obscenities at us, and so I turned around. My brother, who was with me as well, turned around, and we started jawing at the other people. I mean, we asked them to stop, but they kept it up. Anyways, it was kind of just a bad experience. Left me with a bad taste in my mouth for that fan base, even though I know that person was not representative of the fan base.
Except other NBA players have come out and said that fan base is kind of a rough one to play.
Yeah.
At. So I don't know. Should we call this fan base out?
Sure.
Yeah, Jazz fans.
Come on, Jazz fans.
It's like, so I am a closet Jazz fan. I've said this on the podcast before. When the Jazz do well, I get excited. Because when I remember being a little kid and the closest team to where I lived was the Utah Jazz. And so Stockton, Malone, when I was growing up, those are the guys I watched. Greg Ostertag. Can't get enough of Greg Ostertag.
All 7 feet of him, right?
He should have shot more threes.
Yeah,
they would have won so many more championships if he shot threes. But
Hornacek.
Jeff Hornacek, yep. But they where was I going? I got distracted in the nostalgia of the
You like the team.
Jazz teams. Yeah.
You're a fan.
Closet fan there. But I'm pretty disgusted at the behavior of some fans of that team.
Yeah, same arena where Russell Westbrook slapped the phone out of fan, right? Fans who stuck the phone in his face. Anyways, I mean, I know a lot of Jazz fans who are great people, and they would never act that way at a game. And so, unfortunately, it only takes a few bad actors for a fan base to get a bad reputation. And so, let's all just be better, right? Happy Thanksgiving. Good things are happening in the NBA, though. One awesome story so far this year is Kemba Walker. As of right now, I think he's the best point guard in the East. I mean, I'm trying to think of who else might be in contention for that crown.
Well, the normal contenders would be Mario Chalmers, but I think he's retired.
Yeah, okay.
But you have... Sorry, I really like my own joke there.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give myself some credit there. But Kyle Lowry, who isn't outperforming Kemba Walker right now.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving, who is not outperforming Kemba Walker right now. Ben Simmons, who is not outperforming Kemba Walker right now. Yeah, I think Matthew Dellavedova. Again, I'm proud of that one too. No, yeah, it's got to be Kemba. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and he's having an awesome year, at least offensively. He'll always struggle a bit defensively because he's 6 feet tall. And, if you don't have the length, it's hard to be a great defender. But he more than makes up for it on the offensive end. Just in the past 2 games, he scored 103 points. 61 points or 62 points the other night, and then followed it up with a 41-point game. And I mean, he's on an offensive tear right now. I hope he keeps it up because the East is, other than a couple of teams at the top, it's kind of boring. And so the more good teams, good players that you have in the East, the more balance in the league, the better off the league will be. So free Kemba. Hopefully, I hate to say move him to a situation where he can be on a winning team or a team that's in contention, but that would mean moving him to the West, and I don't want that to happen because there's just too much talent in the West as it is. We need players moving to the East. We need more Jimmy Butler situations.
Right. Well, I can't think of a team in the East right now that would become a serious contender if you added a good point guard like Kemba Walker. You know what I mean? I feel like the teams that are contenders right now wouldn't benefit from having him because they already have a decent point guard situation, and he can't play any other position. He can't play 2 or 3 for you because of his size.
Yeah, he's too small.
But I don't know of any team that would benefit from having him on the team. So I don't know.
Yeah, and one thing to cover, one thing I'm thankful for this year, David, are the Cavs and Cavs mismanagement. Because of Cavs mismanagement, LeBron James plays for the Lakers.
Yeah, boy, you're not kidding.
So the Cavs have had an interesting year and a half. First of all, update on their current roster. Looks like J.R. Smith is not playing for them. He wasn't really playing last year either, right? I mean,
well, he
kind of took off the finals, especially that last.
And I might be the only
seconds of the first game.
I might be the only person saying this, but are we sure he didn't have money on that game?
Breaking! We're breaking news.
I think
on the Subjectively Correct Sports.
I think this is called breaking.
Podcast?
Yeah, I think this is called breaking a rumor.
Okay.
Or breaking a conspiracy theory. But a professional athlete forgetting the score of a game when he has the ball in his hands and an opportunity to win it, I don't know. We might have a Shoeless Joe situation here.
Was he drug tested after the game? That's my question.
I don't know.
Yeah. So J.R. Smith not really with the team anymore. Still under contract but not playing. Kevin Love, what is he, out for the year?
He's out for the year, and I think J.R. Smith is not with the team because he said basically in an interview that the purpose for this year for the Cavs is not to win games. The purpose is to develop young talent and get a high draft pick. So he's basically saying the Cavs are tanking. And the Cavs didn't love that, and I think they're trying to part ways with him, which I feel, and JR's fine with that, right? But this mismanagement is just so rampant in the Cavs organization that, like Anthony said, it led to the departure of LeBron James. LeBron James loved the city of Cleveland. He loved his hometown, and he did everything he could to bring a championship to his hometown, and he did it. And he may have stayed longer if it wasn't for some mismanagement that took place before.
So James gave an interview to The Athletic with Joe Varden of The Athletic, and some interesting things came out of this interview. Joe asked him about the Kyrie Irving trade, and LeBron said that he was against the trade from the beginning. Right? He didn't want Kyrie Irving traded. I mean, he knew Kyrie was disgruntled. I think he wanted to be the leader of a team and wasn't going to have that with LeBron James on the team. And so he wanted to be traded. But LeBron knew that his best chance at winning a championship was to have Kyrie Irving on the team, and knew that they couldn't get anything in return for him, especially from the Celtics, that would approximate Irving's talent. Isaiah Thomas had just come off a really good year, but peak Kyrie is always going to beat peak Isaiah. And that was like monster peak Isaiah. I mean, Isaiah just really outperformed. There was a trade on the table, essentially Kyrie Irving for Isaiah Thomas plus some lesser players and picks. And LeBron James was on the phone with Kobe Altman, GM of the Cavs, newly minted GM of the Cavs, replacing David Griffin, who LeBron really liked and who had a lot of control over the team and their personnel decisions. David Griffin, who was the owner, didn't really involve himself much in those decisions. But he fired David Griffin, hired Kobe Altman, and Kobe Altman was talking to LeBron James the day the trade was presented to them, and LeBron said, "Don't make the trade. Don't do it." And Altman assured him that he wouldn't make the trade. The story goes, 10 minutes later, news broke that the Celtics and the Cavs agreed to a trade. sending away Kyrie Irving, their young MVP caliber point guard, for Isaiah Thomas, who, like we said, had a great year, but left the postseason with a hip injury and would play all of 12 or 16 games for the Cavs the next year. And LeBron went on to say, you realize at that point in time, take nothing from Kobe because Kobe was just named GM, but at that point you realize that Kobe's not the only one running the team, as former GM David Griffin had done, and that's just why Griff was let go pretty much. He went on to say that this was the beginning of the end for him and the Cavs. And so he basically played all season knowing he was going to leave. I don't think he had any more trust in the front office. I think he was okay with what they did throughout the year, bringing in some players, but it wasn't ever going to be the same without Kyrie. They didn't have the talent to match up with Golden State. And so
and with all that going on, the best player of all time leads his team into the finals and actually gives his team a chance to win game 1.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just incredible.
So if you're ever lucky enough to have the best player in the sport on your team, and I know you can't let the players run the team, but in the rare situation where you have the absolute best player and you have another top 10 player and the best player says don't trade the other top 10 player, you should probably just listen to him, especially when that team had won the finals and the year before. Was it the year before? Two years before, and had been to the finals 3 straight times? Probably just run back that same team and see what you get, right? But the Cavs, they didn't listen to LeBron, and they lost LeBron. Whether he would have stayed or not, who knows? Maybe the rift between Kyrie and LeBron gets even greater, and they end up doing a trade mid-season. Who knows, right? But you knew what you had with Kyrie, and you traded him for a guy with a bad hip who played less than 20 games for you. So, I mean, one of the all-time disastrous moves by a GM, in my opinion.
Honestly, I don't fault LeBron James for wanting to get out of that situation. And I feel like, he might not be as successful with the Lakers right away. He'll be happier.
Who wouldn't be happy in purple and gold?
Shaq. Very exciting. I found the news story to close the show out today. I found it. I sent it to Anthony. He chose it. It's pretty proud moment for me. And listeners, if you want to do the same, send us some emails with your weird news stories you come across, and they might end up on the show.
And if they do, we'll give you a shout out. And if we ever create maybe we'll send you some merch. Get your merch.
That's merchandise.
Oh, yeah. So, and this story is very on brand for our podcast. So,
what does this says something about us and our quote brand unquote. But anyway, go ahead.
So the Coast Guard recently caught a sea turtle with $53 million of cocaine.
Poor turtle. I feel so bad for this turtle. Okay, go read. Sorry.
No, so this ancient sea monster smuggler was carrying a bunch of basically packages of cocaine tethered together with rope. He got caught in the rope. So unfortunate, traumatic event, I'm sure, for the sea turtle to be caught in this rope. The Coast Guard was just kind of, doing its job, patrolling the coast, and they came along it. They didn't know what it was at first until they opened the boxes and found out it was cocaine, 1,800 pounds of it.
My gosh.
And I don't think they know exactly where it came from. Perhaps it was dropped in the ocean and meant to be picked up by someone who never got to it. They're still investigating where it came from.
It could have been a smuggler that dumped it when the Coast Guard came around, like Han Solo dumping a ship in a spice when the Empire comes around.
Yeah, exactly. They did not hold the sea turtle for questioning, which seems like a mistake.
I mean, he was surrounded by cocaine. You got to hold that guy for at least a day and ask him some questions.
Yeah, but all I can say is I think our cocaine smugglers are getting worse. Our drug smugglers, they're less creative. Attaching it to a slow-moving sea creature not ideal. Maybe a dolphin, right? Maybe a manatee. You could tuck it underneath.
Manatee would be able to hide the pounds and pounds of cocaine a little better.
Yeah. But the sea turtle just wants to have fun, surf around, ride the streams. Not really a good transporter of illegal drugs.
On a side note, I watched the second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles CG live action movie.
Okay.
It's not great.
You don't say.
Yeah, the first one was okay.
Yeah.
The second one, not that good. Which is unfortunate because one of my favorite actors is in there.
Okay.
Raphael, the turtle.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. Stephen Amell, the guy who plays Arrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays Casey Jones.
Oh, wow.
At one point, he's a hockey player, right?
We're really talking about
Yes,
this.
we are. So he's a hockey player, right? He kicks the wheels off of an office chair
Okay.
and tapes them to his feet so
Okay.
he can hockey skate around.
Oh, boy.
Around the giant mutated boar and the giant mutated rhinoceros, Bebop and
Yeah.
Rocksteady, right? But it's pretty clear if you watch super carefully or not carefully at all, like I was not watching that carefully, but you can see he's actually wearing rollerblades later for later shots.
Wow, so they even messed up the continuity in a cartoon. Fantastic. So our turtle-related stories are somewhat disappointing this week.
Sorta.
Yeah. So I'm still grateful that we have turtles in this world.
Me too. I feel bad for this particular turtle, knowing now that he was caught up in the rope. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad to see a majestic creature caught up in the drug game. No? No?
I got nothing.
There's nothing to... that was the perfect ending. You don't need anything. That was the perfect way to end the show. Maybe before the Ninja Turtle stuff would have been a better time to end it. Is anyone still listening?
I think maybe after the open was the right time to end it.
Are you saying the open was good enough to end after the open? 'Cause I would disagree.
Hard to beat 241 kernels of corn
That's
in
true.
3 minutes.
It's clearly difficult because no one's beaten him yet.
Wait
been
until next week.
Yeah.